And so I'm happy right now to be speaking with Robin Wise with Junior Achievement Rocky Mountain. They are nominated in the Education and Workforce category. Robin, it's wonderful to have you here.
Well, it's nice to be here.
Thank you. Tell us a little bit about Junior Achievement in the Rocky Mountain region.
Well, JA is simply about self-sufficiency and the dignity of work.
Right.
I don't know if you've ever known anyone who struggled financially.
Oh, yeah.
Or started college and decided they didn't want to go down that path, so then they've wasted all that time and money. And so we're about getting young people to be economically literate, ready to have a career, and also to embrace their future.
Right. And sometimes we love what you do. You've got so many wonderful programs and getting the kids involved. And it sounds like you can go right down to those bare bones where you hear people say, you know, they should be teaching how to balance a checkbook in high school. You go down to that detailed, fine of a detail.
Exactly. So I think a foundation to being self-sufficient is being economically literate.
Yes.
It's what keeps people poor if they can't control their own destinies. And it also eliminates hope. When you don't have control of your life and your future, it leaves you feeling rather hopeless. So, we start in kindergarten and go all the way through 12th grade.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And we do everything using volunteers.
You do have a wonderful volunteer dynamic and a great resource of volunteers, don't you?
We do. We have about 5,000 volunteers, and really they represent probably 6,000.
And that's just in this... for your Rocky Mountain.
Just in the Front Range. And they probably represent about 600 organizations.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's amazing. But I think that's what's kept me so invigorated for 26 years of doing this.
Amazing.
Is the spirit that the volunteers have. They come from just all kinds of places. And they have so much to give. And who would have thunk it?
Right. And that, I think, is such a great example of the collaboration that is exhibited in the Colorado Business Roundtable Collaboration and Industry Awards, that you have volunteers from probably all walks of life, all industries, all backgrounds, coming together to work together with the kids.
Yes. Yeah. College students, we have high school students, we have retired people, we have millennials starting off in their career, and to your point, it's all walks of life.
Well, and I like that idea that the millennials are already working with JA because they probably see what it's done for them and turn it back around.
And it makes me feel kind of old because we have a lot of millennials coming back to volunteer who were JA kids themselves.
Sure.
So
you're like, wait a minute, you're a grown-up. What's happening?
Yes.
That's my struggle as well. Like, wait a minute. When you find out what year they were born, and it just blows your mind. Like, how can you be an adult? So we're going to talk more about junior achievement and some of the great outstanding collaborations you come up with. We're so excited to have you as part of the awards. JA is nominated in the Education and Workforce category, along with Colorado State University Global Campus, Colorado Succeeds, and the Alliance for the Development of Additive Processing Technology, known as ADAPT. So a lot of great work being done.
Yes.
From everybody. Tell me what sets junior achievement apart?
Well, I think with the work we do, as we talked before, it's people come from all over to volunteer. It's just different professions, different backgrounds. It's amazing. One of the cool things that we did this summer, well, we've done for the past couple of summers, is work with the Denver Police Department, the Boys and Girls Clubs, the Center for Relationship Education, and the Montbello Recreation Center. and put 50 kids through kind of what I call a mashup of junior achievement programs. And the police department specifically picked the Montbello area because of some gang activity,
right,
and selected these kids because they felt they were in environments where they could go either way.
They could go either way, and to have some of that positive,
yes,
what's the word?
Role modeling.
Yeah, the positive role modeling to just point them the right direction.
Right.
Sometimes that's all you need.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. We're going to talk more with Robin Wise from Junior Achievement in a later segment, or in the next segment coming up. But first, we're going to talk with a few more nominees. So now we have a chance to talk with Colorado Farm Bureau. I'm talking with Sean Martini. Colorado Farm Bureau is nominated in the Farming and Agriculture category. And Sean, it's great to have you here. Thanks so much for being here.
It is great to be here. Thanks for having us.
So tell us a little bit about Colorado Farm Bureau and how you work with a lot of different industries and organizations to just work together.
Yeah. So Colorado Farm Bureau is the state's largest agriculture organization. We represent farmer and rancher members from across the state of Colorado. We're a general organization. So we represent farmers and ranchers regardless of what they produce. We're not commodity specific. And because of that, we have to engage in a number of different policy areas when we advocate for our members and our members' economic and political interests at the state, local, and federal level. You know, agriculture is the state's second largest industry.
Right.
We contribute $41 billion to the state's economy. And so, you know, when things happen that could potentially impact negatively or positively our members, we need to be engaged in talking to policymakers and consumers about why that's important to the state and the state's economy.
Well, and that kind of collaboration, because as you've said, you are working with all the different industries. What kind of a representation do you bring like to the legislature?
Sure. So we have folks who handle federal policy and interface with our congressional delegation from Colorado, both in the House and the Senate side. And we also have lobbyists at the state level who interact with state legislatures in the House and Senate and provide representation to our members at the state capitol. Myself, I kind of work in an external affairs capacity, so do a lot of the relationships with other industries and other organizations as it pertains to policy, as it pertains to local and county level issues, and really any way that we can sort of get involved, because like I said, our issue set has to be so broad. There's generally a way that a particular policy issue is going to impact our members one way or another, regardless of whether that's immigration or tax issues, monetary policy, that kind of thing. We sort of run the gamut, so we try and be involved in as many conversations as possible to ensure that our members are being looked out for.
That's wonderful. We will talk more with Colorado Farm Bureau in an upcoming segment. And now we have the chance to talk with CSU Global, one of the nominees in the Education and Workforce category, and I'm pleased to be able to speak with Becky Takeda-Tinker. Becky, it's great to have you here. Tell us a little bit about you and your role with CSU Global.
Thank you. So I am the president of CSU Global, and I have been there since about 2009. Actually, I started before we even launched the university, and then became president in 2010. We now are serving about 19,000 students around the U.S., from every U.S. state and territory, in over 50 countries.
So CSU Global, can we call it an offshoot of CSU that is an online university?
It is a separately accredited, fully independent university, but it is part of the CSU system. So we're governed by the same CSU system Board of Governors as CSU in Fort Collins and CSU Pueblo in Pueblo.
Right. And CSU Global has, I guess, another mission added onto it to really address the workforce issues and make sure you're producing candidates in jobs that that need them.
Right. And that's part of the bonus.
I said that very simplistically. You'll say it much better.
As being a separate institution,
right.
We have our own mission, and our mission is workplace success for non-traditional adult learners through higher education. So we are very focused on what drives and facilitates our students' success in the workplace. And therefore, we look at different reasons to and different types of curriculum. Our faculty, 92% have workplace education or workplace experience in their areas of expertise. They also, 86% have PhDs, terminal degrees, but we're really looking at this facilitated model towards helping our students be plug and play in an environment that is so highly dynamic and of course driven by technology. And so the fact that we are 100% fully online really facilitates the success of the students in today's modern world where they're working virtually, even if they're working for a company that is based, let's say, in Denver, and they live in Denver. A lot of them are now working remotely, and so those skills, plus the curriculum, the way that we've developed it, and the assignments are all workplace-driven with simulations, interactivity that replicate what they would be doing at a higher level or in a new career field if they're looking to switch careers.
We can't wait to hear more about the partnerships and the different groups and organizations that you're working with at CSU Global to really collaborate and make great work candidates as they complete their it's often a second round of schooling, isn't it?
Yes, or finishing what they started but didn't complete. Yeah. So just because of the mission that we have, it's uniquely requires collaboration with industry, right? If we're not collaborating heavily with our industry partners, we're not teaching something that's perhaps relevant or where they see their industry headed, and we really want to get ahead of that. We're very focused on degree programs, and we only offer degree programs that will ensure that our students graduate and be able to earn a living wage in an industry that's growing. So that's how we first determine that, and then we work with the industry partners, such as the Colorado Fort Collins Police Department. We created a master's specialization for them for their org leadership degree program students. Those are the type of things that we're doing with industry.
We'll get deeper into some examples when we come back. We'll talk with Becky Takeda-Dinker with CSU Global, one of the nominees in the Education and Workforce category. We're so glad you're staying with us today as we talk with nominees for the Colorado Business Roundtable Collaboration in Industry Awards. Today I'm talking with Robin Wise from Junior Achievement Rocky Mountain, one of the nominees in the Education and Workforce category. And Robin, we're so happy to have you here.
Thank you.
And so happy you're nominated. Tell us, how has Junior Achievement shown outstanding collaboration? It's kind of your middle name.
Yes, thank you for saying that. We can't do anything we do without support of our volunteers.
Right.
And we have so many organizations involved in our mission. And I'm really proud of that.
Yeah. You have, as we mentioned earlier, you have volunteers coming from so many different, industries that they work in, from so many different backgrounds, and right now seeing a lot of them that have been JA students coming up being volunteers.
Absolutely. It's
Very
really
rewarding.
great fun. I know, and some of them were born after I started at JA.
Stop
so
it. That did not happen.
Makes me really feel old.
That did not happen. So JA creates this culture of innovation and entrepreneurship that you create award-winning local programs and events that really reach out and meet the community's needs. How are our Junior Achievements programs really a vital resource throughout Metro Denver and Northern Colorado?
Well, I think some of our power is that a lot of schools don't have resources to teach the things that we teach. And everything Junior Achievement provides is free to the schools. We don't have charge students. We don't charge the schools. And we have our programs, kindergarten through 12th grade, are hands-on, interactive, and our volunteers bring in all of those materials, the workbooks, the textbooks. We even have test generators. So it's a true resource for schools. And beyond that, it's a resource for young people, because oftentimes parents don't want to talk about their financial history.
Yeah, that financial situation.
Yes. Yeah, they'd rather talk about sex than talk about the
wow, that really puts it into place where you'd rather talk about that with your kids than financial. And I think part of that, it goes into some maybe embarrassment and privacy there too, because like maybe our kids don't need to know just what our financial situation is, because what if they start telling their friends and blah, 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 blah.
Right.
But Junior Achievement goes a long way to help teach kids about financial literacy and
work readiness.
Giving them the tools to be successful as adults.
Yeah, and it's not just about the skills and the knowledge that our volunteers give the students. It's about what those skills and knowledge do to their behavior, because they now know they can control aspects of their life. They know how to get a job. They might even experience from having a volunteer in their classroom, they might experience a kind of job that they want and they want to pursue. So it's just
that exposure to new things
into their hands.
Yeah, it really does. Well, and I think about that because just going back to that financial literacy idea of it, because I know people that just cannot figure out how to save. As soon as money reaches their fingers, it needs to leave.
Right.
Right. And feeling that you can be successful at saving up for something, I'm sure goes a long way as well. And then you talk about the career potential.
Right.
Is another aspect.
But when you talk about money and handling money, it's not like it was back in the day where you could bounce a check and maybe the grocer would call you and say, hey, that your check bounced. It's an issue with your credit score. It ripples throughout your financial life, and employers now are giving so much choice to employees. What kind of health care package do you want?
Right.
Do you want the high deductible, the low deductible? Do you want to start saving in your 401k plan,
or in that HSA, and
exactly your flex spend account. Think of all of the decisions you have to make, and they're really complex.
They are,
and that's part of it. The world has just become more complex.
Yeah. So you're really giving kids the tools to deal with what they need to tackle once they're out in that real world, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about a project maybe that you've seen firsthand, how Junior Achievement and those volunteers going above and beyond to collaborate with others. I know you have many partners that you work with together in that Kickstart Your Future program.
It's a wonderful program, and we've been doing it for several summers now with the Denver Police Department and the Center for Relationship Education, the Boys and Girls Clubs, and the Mount Bello Recreation Center. And it really, the genesis of it came about several summers ago when the police department was feeling like there was more gang violence than typical. And they wanted to have something for kids to do that was beyond just going to a rec center or to the library, but something meaningfully active.
And constructive.
Wow. And so they went around the neighborhoods. They knew families. They knew kids. They wanted to find the kids who could be influenced by gang activity and put them in an environment that was positive and had role models that were unusual to see in their neighborhood. So we took them. We took them downtown to some of the big businesses.
Yeah.
And
you're working with like Alliance Data and GE Dunn and DaVita and Panasonic.
And Cana, yes. Just amazing organizations. But to give these kids a view of what they could be.
Yeah, what's possible.
Yes, all these different jobs in these organizations. One of the students who was involved with Kickstart had never been on an elevator before. So to take
growing
him
up in the Denver area and never being on an elevator.
Take him up to the 44th floor in a building and meet executives and see the beautiful offices that they work in and learn about their background and what kind of education they had. It's really pretty powerful.
I bet, to be able to show what it really looks like. And I'm going to use this as the phrase, but what it looks like at the top. If they've never seen it, how can they aspire to go there?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's our thinking.
So you had 50 middle schoolers in that program this past year, and that was thanks to donors and volunteers, and that didn't cost students anything to be a part of, and distracted them from any mischief they might have gotten into.
Yeah, we hope so. We think so. That's why the Denver police keep doing it year after year with us.
Wonderful.
It's pretty neat.
What do you think is the biggest impact of that kind of collaboration project?
Well, I think there's impact, obviously, on the students. We know that junior achievement kids start businesses at 2.5 times the rate of the general population. They're less likely to be in debt than their peers. They have higher likelihood of finishing school. There's all kinds of stuff that comes from this for the kids. But when you look at what happens to the volunteers that do this, the kind of joy and heart that they get from volunteering has really been great fun to watch.
Really beneficial on all sides, isn't it?
Yeah, and they establish relationships with, if they go into schools, a lot of times they'll establish relationships beyond junior achievement, helping them build swing sets and playgrounds, or doing backpack drives. So there's just a lot of really cool relationships that form from meaningful work.
Well, and that is meaningful, I think, because if kids can then see who's helping build the playground, who's donating those backpacks, then it's not just some free thing they maybe feel entitled to, as it is somebody worked to get this for us.
Exactly. And they've learned the names of the volunteers.
Wow.
The volunteers have learned the names of the students because they go back there year after year. They watch them grow up. It's really, I think that's why we have 5,000 volunteers, over 600 organizations that work with us. I think that's why.
Yeah, and looking at the 2016-2017 school year, Junior Achievement partnered with, 542 Colorado schools and volunteers from 139 companies.
Yeah, and 139 companies are just those that give us maybe 10 volunteers or more.
Wow.
But if you look at the whole scope of the organizations that support us, it's about 600.
Okay, well, we just have a little bit of time left in this segment. Robin Wise with Junior Achievement Rocky Mountain. This is the inaugural Colorado Business Roundtable Collaboration and Industry Awards. What would it mean to win that first award?
I think it would be really cool because I think our middle name is collaboration, to your point. We can't do anything in this community without the support of the volunteers. It wouldn't be the same. It wouldn't be Junior Achievement without the volunteer support that we have.
Well, and we're so happy to share our name collaboration with you. We're talking with Robin Wise of Junior Achievement Rocky Mountain, one of the nominees in Education and Workforce category for the Colorado Business Roundtable Collaboration and Industry Awards, and they're nominated along with Colorado State University Global Campus, Colorado Succeeds, and ADAPT, that Additive Processing Technology Group. We're so excited to find out how it goes on December 7th. Thanks for being here, Robin.
Thank you.
We're so glad you're joining us today as we talk with nominees for the Colorado Business Roundtable Collaboration in Industry Awards. And today we're talking with Sean Martini from Colorado Farm Bureau. And Colorado Farm Bureau is nominated in the Farming and Agriculture category. Sean, it's great to have you here. Thanks so much for joining us today.
It is great to be here. Thank you for having us.
Now, in the Farming and Agriculture category, you're nominated with Farmers Alliance for Integrated Resources, known as FAIR, and with the Colorado FFA Foundation. So
keeping good company to be in.
Exactly. Thanks again. So you've been nominated in the Farming and Agriculture category. Tell us how Colorado Farm Bureau has shown this outstanding collaboration. You work with many different industries just across the board.
Absolutely. So because our membership is so diverse, and we cover so many different types of agriculture production, because agriculture is such a large component to the state's economy. We contribute $41 billion to the Colorado economy every year. We're the second largest industry. When things start to happen at the policy level, whether that's at the local or state level, and we provide federal representation for our members across the state as well, that can be, potentially a really bad thing for the state's second largest economy. It can also be a very good thing for the state's second largest economy. We want to be engaged in those conversations. And so a lot of what we do is covering a broad and diverse issue set because of that breadth that we have. And that requires that we get involved with a lot of other industries and a lot of other organizations that are typically non-traditional to what agriculture does, and people wouldn't think there wouldn't necessarily be a nexus between agriculture and, say, electric generation transmission, oil and gas, or telecommunications, but there definitely is.
But sure there is, because, and I'm sure often it's, whether it's land use or egress the right word, but where the farming industry has to either make allowances or such for
surface use agreements and things like that. Yes, absolutely. And energy in particular is one area where we've been very involved in the past couple of years. Of course, the debate on oil and gas in this state has been raging for a while. For us, our members want more domestic energy production, whether that's electricity, whether that's oil and gas, whatever the generation side is, we need more of it because it lowers costs for our producers. Agriculture is a very energy intensive industry. And so to the extent that we can increase production here at home and reduce the cost, that's very beneficial to our members. It makes every trip across the field in a tractor cheaper. It makes the electricity bills for running the lights and the refrigeration in a dairy that much cheaper to keep milk prices low. So those are two examples. But from oil and gas perspectives, particularly, our members are also large landowners, and they can make use of monetizing their mineral resources by leasing those oil and gas minerals to energy companies. So it benefits them both on the cost side by reducing costs, the energy cost at the farm level, and also providing a secondary income stream, particularly now we're in such a low commodity price environment. Farm country is really hurting right now. So access to those other revenue streams is very important for our producers to keep people on the farm.
Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about maybe some of these circumstances where Farm Bureau does go above and beyond to collaborate with others. Do you have some examples of maybe some groups that you've worked with where the collaboration made a huge difference?
Sure. I think one of the best examples right now is our work with AT&T. On broadband and telecommunications issues. They are engaged heavily in the FirstNet emergency communications network, and our members found it important to get engaged there and support that network build out as a way to increase connectivity and rural broadband access in parts of the state that currently don't have much connectivity. A lot of the times it's hard to get 4G access in a number of the rural areas across the state, particularly on the western slope. And the FirstNet build-out that AT&T is engaging in will definitely help and dramatically improve in a lot of areas around the state 4G connectivity. For our members, big data, Web 2.0, all these kinds of platforms, there's a lot of internet traffic, and not having access to high-speed internet, whether that's delivered through the cellular network or whether that's delivered through fiber and hardwired broadband, is extremely important. And so our connection and collaboration with them has been sort of non-traditional. Telecommunications is not something that typically involves agriculture directly. But to the extent that this will help our members increase that connectivity and increase that infrastructure, that's been a priority for our board. And this kind of partnership is not, it's not an organization that we would have necessarily worked with in the past, but we have shared in common ground to advance the ball on a policy goal that we both share.
Now, as Farm Bureau is nominated in, as I said, the Farming and Agriculture category for the Colorado Business Roundtable Collaboration and Industry Awards, the nomination states that Colorado Farm Bureau is typically one of the first to the table at whatever negotiation or concern or project that needs to be dealt with. Would you say that's accurate?
I'd like to think that. We definitely try to be involved in as much as we possibly can. Farmers and ranchers, they like to tell folks, and it's accurate. They're asset rich and cash poor, so they don't have necessarily the money to leverage like other organizations might to pay for representation, whether it be lobbyists or consultants, to engage in these kinds of policy debates and be at the table. And so that's where a grassroots organization like Colorado Farm Bureau has to be involved, and we've got a small staff of 11. And we try and spread our folks about as wide and deep as we can possibly make it to have a voice. And if there's not anything that we're going to specifically engage on, we still want to be at the table so that we know, so that we can communicate up to American Farm Bureau in Washington, D.C., and down to our members at the county level so that they know exactly what's going on as well.
A couple of the collaborations mentioned in the nomination are the effort with Team Farm Power, working with Colorado's for Responsible Energy Development, that's CRED, and Keep Energy Affordable. So your entire staff participates, and it says either riding or with an amazing support team. So is this one of those physical representations of showing your support?
It is. This is, for the folks that aren't familiar, the Governor's Office and the Denver Post Community Foundation every year hosts a bike tour on the eastern plains of Colorado called Pedal the Plains. And it just started as a lark a couple of years ago that we would field a cycling team through Colorado Farm Bureau to participate, since the Governor's Office and others were making an effort to bring folks to eastern Colorado and show them and sort of highlight the diversity of the rural areas, particularly on the eastern slope of the state. And through conversations with some of our other partners, Tri-State, Keep Electricity Affordable, and Coloradans for Responsible Energy Development, we said, hey, let's field a bigger team. Let's make this a real thing. And so we had the second largest team on the tour this year in 2017. And had a group of 32 riders, and all of Farm Bureau staff participated in one way or another, whether they were riding or whether they were driving what they call the SAG wagon, which is the supply and support vehicles that follow the team and make sure they have butt butter and make sure they have goo and sport beans and water and all that kind of stuff to help them as they go through the ride. It's a 270 plus mile ride over 3 days. So it's a fantastic amount of fun, and it's also a great way for a group like ours, agriculture, to interface with a community that comes from the Front Range that we wouldn't necessarily talk to on very neutral ground, showing them around the farms and ranches in the eastern plains of Colorado. So.
Yeah, really gets you all out there and out meeting people and out in the actual farming communities.
Absolutely. It's
fantastic.
Better than just talking about it all the time.
Right. We're talking with Sean Martini with Colorado Farm Bureau, one of the nominees in our Farming and Agriculture category. And I want to say, as we are heading into the Colorado Business Roundtable Collaboration and Industry Awards, this is our inaugural year. Can you tell us what it might mean to Colorado Farm Bureau to win the award in this inaugural season?
It'd be fantastic. We work closely with the Colorado Business Roundtable as well, and so having be recognized from your organization would be fantastic for us, and a great way to be first in the door with what I'm sure is going to be a long-standing and long-running award in the business community here in Denver. So happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, we're glad to have you. As I said earlier, we have Colorado Farm Bureau nominated in the Farming and Agriculture category, along with the Farmers Alliance for Integrated Resources and Colorado FFA Foundation. And Sean Martini, it's been great to talk with you today. We know you're doing great work helping helping the agricultural industry and some of those legislative issues that, as you said, they don't have the resources to lobby for themselves, and Colorado Farm Bureau does a great job representing the farming industry. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
We're so glad you're staying with us today as we talk with nominees for the Colorado Business Roundtable Collaboration in Industry Awards. And today I'm talking with Becky Taketa-Tinker. She is the president of CSU Global, and CSU Global is nominated in the Education and Workforce category. And Becky, we're so glad to have you.
Thank you very much.
Of course. So we talked a little bit about the mission behind CSU Global. Do you want to just recap that for us?
So the mission of CSU Global, being a separately accredited institution under the CSU system, is workplace success through higher education for our adult non-traditional learners. We are 100% online. We provide education asynchronously because that's what works for busy adults, and it really serves them well to have that format.
It's wonderful. Wonderful. And tell us more about how CSU Global really seeks that direct engagement and collaborations with business from so many industries, and how that furthers the mission.
Sure. So we start with the basic curriculum. We start with our faculty first of all, as I explained that 92% actually have workplace experience in their areas of expertise. And they collaborate with other industry experts and leaders, actually from industry, to create curriculum that is both engaging from a workplace perspective, but also meets the needs of the industry, where they are today and where they're headed. And from there we go on to looking at how can we partner with business, with other players inside of different industries in areas where there's going to continue to be growth for hiring and living wages. And so we look at industries in those sectors and say, can we collaborate? Are they offering organizational training that we can perhaps review and determine that it is transferable for college credit, or can we help them maybe do some tweaks and enhance what they're teaching so that in fact we can do that? Can we understand what needs that they have to upskill their current employees? Can we create customized curriculum as part of a degree program or a bona fide certificate program that would then allow that student to get federal financial aid funds, get support from their employer, and actually upskill to help the employer keep up with their own industry? And really, when we think about individual success, that employee is now empowered. Hopefully they'll stay with that organization and grow, but it allows that employee to have a win-win. They're learning for their employer, and they're learning for themselves.
You have a number of businesses and organizations that you collaborate with. Can you give us some examples?
Sure. So DaVita, big healthcare, we have a healthcare degree program. We have looked at their training that they provide their managers and have determined the credit value so that those employees that want to come over and earn a certificate or degree program, and they have evidence of having completed that program, are able to transfer in those credits and then just finish their programs. We've done that with, the Colorado Police, Fort Collins Police Department. We have done the same thing. We look at training for teachers and what we can do with rural Colorado and how we can take them from where they are in their industries and move them or where they are in their credentialing and bring them up to the level that they need to be in order to teach, let's say, dual enrollment for college credit.
Right.
Really important for them to upskill even in areas of STEM, science and math,
Right.
and we have those type of programs. So we are really looking at the various sectors that we've identified where there are growing needs for employees and staff and at living wages, and identified what those needs are in order to bring them up. So of course IT is a really big one of ours. We think about the curriculum in that, where we're using simulations. They're coding in class. They are interacting with technology that they would use in the real workplace. And so that is helping the students not only get the college credits, get the degree or get the certificate, but also then be plug and play for their employers in terms of being a skilled employee.
And they'll fit right into that next
Yes.
Hopefully promotion.
Promotion, yeah, we see from the data. So because we're so workplace driven, we're always surveying every year. We survey both employers of our graduates, which is really neat, and to see how they're doing on soft skills as well as program skills and knowledge, but also then, of course, our employees, or the students who are their employees. And we are seeing their self-reported increases are 17 to 19% salary increases a year after graduation. But we also work with a credit bureau reporting firm to make sure that all of our graduating cohorts every year are moving up in their salaries and their compensation in their areas that they have chosen to get their degree program in. So that is also ensuring, again, that we are really providing relevant workplace skills and knowledge that they are able to apply and therefore get those promotions. I think 17%, 18% actually report that they are getting a promotion within a year after having completed their degree. 23% are actually able to switch careers, which is even more amazing.
Oh, wow.
And when we think about how fast industries are changing in really our world, so there's new occupations, new professions coming up all the time, that our ability to keep retraining people that are wanting to maybe move to something newer where there's more demand for and more jobs.
Making sure those graduates are prepared for those changes.
Yes,
goes
that
a
is
long
exactly
way.
it.
Yes. Can you talk about whether it was a project or what the collaborations that you work together with, that you really saw that firsthand witness of going above and beyond to collaborate with others? I think CSU Global, your whole mission is collaboration.
It really is. When you think about having people that leave the institution or get their education from us, that they have the skills needed for industry success, really does require that we collaborate. We have worked with the Colorado Department of Higher Education when we think about the needs for teachers in rural Colorado. We've come up with special programs at our own cost to provide to Coloradans so that they can be ready to work in the classroom, K through 12. We have looked at food service sectors such as Chipotle. What can we do with that training to help that sector of employees, a lot from underserved populations, be able to transfer what they're learning in the workplace to some college credit to show that they can succeed and move to their degrees faster, so that they in fact can become managers and leaders for the organization and to be able to feed their families.
And what's the impact? Can you tell us about the impact of these collaborations?
Yeah. We know CSU Global is unique because we do not receive state support, state financial support. We are completely self-funded. We ran an economic study. We had it outsourced to a research firm, EIS, I believe is the name, and they evaluated all of the data. They tracked down graduate information and in fact determined that for Colorado, CSU Global has contributed over $1 billion in economic return, and at the nation's level, it is almost $2 billion. And so, given that we're about 10 years old now, that is a significant return to Coloradans and really to Americans, given that we are so focused on individual achievement. That is really not just a degree or certificate, that it actually translates to economic returns for individuals, for families, and for states and the nation.
Right, improving the economy all around.
That's it, without state support. So we're able to earn our way and engage our students. That's, I think, one of the biggest challenges we see in higher education is helping them actually get to their academic goals, and in order to do that, it has to be relevant to their lives, the learning that they're doing, or they will disengage.
Right. And speaking of that one, we talk about your CSU Global's collaborative university workplace programs. You're facilitating employee development. I'm looking at some numbers here. In the last 5 years, you've provided 31,000 plus credits for employees of affiliate organizations to further their education goals.
So our affiliates, we have over 500. We provide them with a 10% discount for all their stakeholders, their employees, their staff, so that if they start with CSU Global, they get that 10% discount, tuition discount, but that rate remains the same through our tuition guarantee until they complete their goal, whether it's a certificate or degree program. We actually have not increased our tuition rates. We're headed into our 7th year here. Next year will be our 7th year of not increasing tuition rates. And students only pay per credit for what they are actually taken. There is not a set fee based on an amount, like a 6-month span or 3-month span. It actually is if they are in a class and they're taking 3 credits, they are only paying for those 3 credits, and there are no student fees. So it's, again, very accountable on the CSU Global side that we are providing education in a way that students can track what they're paying and then evaluate the return on it and determine whether this is for them. And our retention rates are way above the national average.
Wonderful.
Because we are so intent on that return on investment.
Okay, thank you. I'm talking with Becky Takeda-Tinker, president of CSU Global, one of the nominees in the education and workforce category, and we just have a little bit left. What would it mean to win this first collaboration in industry awards through the Colorado Business Roundtable?
It would be significant, not only for CSU Global, but I think for our industry when we think about higher education and the important role that it can play in upskilling and contributing to workforce success and business success. That CSU Global's work in this area is so significant, and it's fairly new in the way that we do that.
Right.
That it can show that other institutions that it can be done, and it can be done well, and at no risk to them and to their institutions.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Becky Takeda-Tinker, president of CSU Global, and thank you for listening. Have a great day.